Hello and a very warm welcome to the the Kids Voice Box. It's just me tonight, Ben. Solo show. I think it's the first time we've actually done this. But I've got a lot to go through tonight. Obviously, there's been some very big stories that have happened in the past week, such as Liverpool beating Leeds 6-1. That was basically the Ben derby. And then Everton losing once again at home, looking in very big trouble at the bottom of the table, and also Tottenham obviously bottled it against Bournemouth. That was quite big, and just some of the and obviously some of the other big stories that have happened, especially today. There's been quite a lot, and also Europa League as well with Man United. But obviously, I've got somebody here to talk about first before we go through all that, and it's just about the Respect next weekend, and it's just a big shout out to all the FAs that we're getting in touch with them, contact. So very big list here to go through.
We're going to mention them.
We'll mention them. So there is who's that? Alan Young. Alan Young.
Yeah, just the FA itself.
Oh yeah. So it's just the FA, like
Bedfordshire FA.
Yeah, Bedfordshire FA, Birmingham FA, Cambridgeshire FA, Cheshire, Cornwall, Cumberland, Derbyshire, Devon, Dorset, Durham, East Riding, Essex, Gloucestershire, Hampshire, Herefordshire, Huntingdonshire, Kent, Lancashire, Leicestershire, Lincolnshire, London and Manchester, Middlesex, and Norfolk, Northamptonshire, North Riding, that's again North. I'm going to say this. Yeah, Northumberland, Oxfordshire, Sheffield and Hallamshire, Shropshire, Somerset, Staffordshire, Suffolk, Surrey, Sussex, Westmoreland, West Riding, Wiltshire and Worcestershire. Finally, there we go. Yeah, big list to go through there.
And Liverpool.
Yeah, and Liverpool as well. And that's like thanks again to all those FAs for the Respect weekend.
Supporting it, yeah.
Yeah. So everyone should be supporting next weekend. It'll be a big thing to showing our support, especially
for the
referees. I know we saw that recently with in the Premier League, with obviously it's not in the Premier League, with the FA Cup with Mitrovic. And that actually, I've been constant. That's actually happened with the assistant referee with Konstantin Hatzidakis, the elbow to Robertson's neck, which I think everyone can see that was a clear elbow. There was no further action to him, which I think it was alright to get him banned for like that first weekend, but I think if it was, I know with Mitrovic it was quite literally he's banned for 8 games, so basically the rest of the season. Yeah. The FA jumped on Fulham's back, like straight away, protecting them all, which they of course should. But I think the fact that they showed shows complete control over that situation just to try and get the players doing it. And we were all saying, what happens if it was the other way round? Would they put as much pressure there to go and get that result? Once again, like a long-term ban. They were even trying to get half a season, which I think that's a bit harsh.
Yeah.
But I think everyone was saying it probably should be around 5 games, but then 8 is a bit ridiculous because you basically got 3. You've basically got two reds. Which I think that is kind of
strong message.
Yeah, it's a strong message, but I think there should have been a longer ban for that referee. Maybe like he should have gone like 2 weekends or 3 weekends, not just one. Because like that's put a huge effect on Fulham's season because of Mitrovic going for those games. And I don't think he might be back for the final game of the season. But I think even then he's missed that many that it's a huge thing for him. But obviously
Fulham went down the neck, didn't he, after that?
They weren't playing well, but I think they've got their win against Everton, so they might be back on form. Fantastic for the game not going playing Leeds. Would have gone 4-7 on this time. And luckily they're not at home, because we'll actually have to be going. I don't think they're at home, best not be. But I think, obviously I'll go on to that now. With
Liverpool doing Everton a favour?
Yeah, Liverpool were doing Everton a huge favour because Leeds obviously are a point above them.
And Forest.
And Forest as well. I think to go down, I think there's one team who's kind of, they're not confirmed yet, but it's like Norwich every time they come up. It's not confirmed, but it will happen. It will eventually happen. And it's like inevitable that it will always happen for them, I'm thinking that word. And I think that's the case with Southampton this season. They will most definitely go down. I think they're just not good enough, and the only reason why they're in the leagues, I think the only reason why they've got that many points this season is because of James Ward-Prowse. I've seen some stories about James Ward-Prowse possibly going to Liverpool in the summer. He's not good enough. If you actually look at him away from the set pieces, the only reason, if he wasn't that good at set pieces, the media would not be looking at him. I don't think he's good enough for England. I think it's a bit ridiculous that people are saying that he should be in England's squad. I think if we were going to pick another midfielder, it is Trent, because Trent's not a right back anymore, he's basically a midfielder. He's just changed. In these last 2 games he's been really good. It wasn't even the whole of that. The draw with Arsenal, it was literally the second half. Klopp decided, obviously Zinchenko does that for Arsenal. He starts at left back, but then throughout the game starts to drift into the midfield, and he's really good at that role. He never really done it as much at City, probably because he didn't get much game time. I think if he was still there, he probably would have got much more game time. He probably would have been starting left back. Now City are actually looking for a left back. I don't know why they're looking for a left back. The left back that they've got right now is really good. I know there's Rico Lewis, and obviously Nathan Ake's played there and he's been really good. But I think with Trent's midfield, obviously everyone knew that it was knew that he needed to go into that role because he always suited it. Like my granddad was saying to me the other day, like I knew that he always had to go into midfield, but Klopp just never saw it. I don't know how. Literally, he used to play midfield in the youth academy, but he was just. I think it was always because the worry that they won't be able to cope with the 3 at the back. But I think it's worked well because Konate's been able to go over to the other side and just do it. They're able to do it that sort it out. He's able to cover the right hand side because we've seen this season Trent's not been good at defending. But when he's gone to midfield, he kind of was good at defending because he was actually winning the ball back quite a lot more. And obviously for some of them goals, especially one of them, should not have counted because of the major controversy coming onto the game. I think the one that's less controversial is the 5th goal, and where it was a foul on Christensen, and he should have and the referee needed to. I think he got many decisions wrong in that game. He should be blowing those because he was kind of right in front of that one where Christensen went down. I've looked over it many times and I still think it is a foul. Even Aronson's one where he should have got a pen because it's not really. I know people are going to say he's gone down too easily, but I think Van Dijk hasn't made any. He hasn't made any attempt for the ball, and he's just. he's pushed Aronson over straight away. Obviously I'm going to be biased because Aronson's my favourite player. But then he's pushed him over, no attempt for the ball, and it's a clear penalty. And at that point it was 0-0, so it has a huge effect on the game. Well, it doesn't really. They were 1-0 up against Crystal Palace, but all that far on. And then, but I think first 20-25 minutes, Jota was awful, giving the ball away constantly.
Oh, yeah.
And Leeds were on top. They could have scored if Rodrigo can actually head the ball properly and not at Alisson. I was going to say Aronson's shot there, but he hit the bar, but that was actually later on when it was like 4-1. And 4 or 5-1 then, and that was that was a good shot. I think that's actually one player I'm surprised right now is not linked with Liverpool to go in summer. I think if he gets relegated, he will go, because there was reports. It was summer. It was like the summer towards like May, June, July, where. When there was reports coming up that Leeds were going to try and go for Brendan Aronson, and that was like their big first player under Jesse Marsh that he was going to go for. Obviously, he did manage it. He did have him at Salzburg, and he was going to go for Christensen as well, which he has. He also went for Vogel, because I think they're fuming with Jesse Marsh, stealing 3 of their players. And if Leeds try and go for another one, they're going to just say, no, move, turn, you're not getting any more. And yeah, I've never actually seen that 3 in one season going to the same team from the same club. I think that's a bit it's a bit harsh in that club. It's their own fault. They've let all 3 go. But I think before that, there was reports coming out that Klopp was very much interested in Aronson. When Leeds played Liverpool earlier on in the season, they beat them 2-1 at Anfield. Klopp came out of the game saying that one of the standout players, it was Aronson, and he loved him. And it seemed as if he was going to try and go for them. And then when it's come to him playing then, obviously Aronson was on form back then, but like he's been off form, and then in that game, I think he was the standout player. Him and Sinisterra were really good. Rodrigo was actually having a good game as well, but it was just, if Leeds actually had a strong defence in that game, they could have actually won it. And I think if Vogel was actually playing, which I was saying to you before about how I know he's been injured, but you kind of have to play your best defender against a team who has quite literally got the best Egyptian right winger in the world. Even probably arguably the best right winger in the league. I don't care about Saka. He's
what's happened? Nunes?
Yeah. Even then, I was expecting him to miss that. I kind of wanted them to. But I was like, please let me full on knock go through more. I think every fan was like, every Leeds fan was like that. They were just...
Well, again, we done our neighbours a favour.
Yeah, Liverpool's doing Everton a favour, which is awful.
Because we do tomorrow.
Yeah, Forest. I think that one, everyone's predicting a 4-0 win. But we were saying that with Bournemouth, when Liverpool played Bournemouth after the 7-0, and then lost it. And I think the difference there is that it's at Anfield, and they will have that much support behind them. They will have a lot of support. But I think, speaking of support and like huge support, when teams are getting battered like 5-1, 6-1, you kind of always expect the team who's losing, the fans, to go home. We saw that with Leeds, but thousands stayed, and that's why they are probably, even like Arsenal fans and like West Ham fans are saying they are one of the best fan bases in the league, because even though the team are getting battered week in, week out, they are still staying, they're still supporting them. They were still singing, they were louder than the Liverpool fans. And they were literally getting beat 6-1, not winning it. I could hear them through my telly. We had to turn the telly down because it was that loud. them singing, and I think if they actually would have won, there would have been a lot more singing there, and probably the speakers would have broke. I've obviously been to Ella Road, and it was a brilliant atmosphere. I know they play in City, so it's of course a lot more. But if I actually went to United, it would have actually, I think that would have been quite toxic, because they hate each other. And I'll actually move on to United in a minute, because I think the Liverpool side of me hate them, the Leeds side of me hates them, so I basically overall hate them. I don't think there's any fans in the league apart from themselves who don't hate them. I think that's kind of similar with City. I know a lot of fans don't like City because of the money. And there was actually asked a question earlier today about who do I think is the best. There was also asked the all-time Premier League 11. I couldn't think of any right backs, so I ended up going for Gary Neville at right back. I couldn't think of any apart from Trent, and I was like, I'm not going Trent because Trent at right back's not good. So I'm not going Trent, so I'm going to go Gary Neville. My midfield, I didn't even have Vieira in there, probably should have. I think I ended up going full United apart from, I know I didn't, went Liverpool, Chelsea, United, Gerrard, Lampard and Keane. I think it was between Keane and Scholes. I completely forgot about Vieira. And then I think I didn't forget about Arsenal when it came to the attack. I actually regret saying Harry Kane up top. I know he's really good, probably one of the best strikers to actually play for Premier League, but has never won a trophy. Well, he actually won a pre-season trophy, so you can't exactly... we will still say that they haven't got any trophies, but...
you got Arsenal tonight?
Yeah, Arsenal are on tonight. It's against Southampton. I think everyone's going to say it's going to be about, like, if anyone's going to go and beat Liverpool's 9-0 this season, Liverpool's responsible for 3 of the biggest wins this season, 9-0, 7-0 and 6-1. And the other one's 6-0, and that was City against Forest. Ironic, Liverpool over Forest this season. They're going 2-1 better than City and knock them off. And the 4 biggest wins this season will all be Liverpool, and they're not even top of the league. And that's actually a good record for them. But I think that it's going to be a win for Arsenal. I think it's well. I'm saying that, but when we were expecting Everton to go and lose a drastic amount against Arsenal, because they were top of the league and Everton relegation zone, but Everton beat them in like that 1-0 of I think every Everton fan wants to forget the second game, because it was 4-0, 5-0. Well, overall, an aggregate over 2 games to beat them by quite a bit, and I think that was a really good one. But I think it will probably be Arsenal are on good. Well, I wouldn't say they're on good form. They're basically on the form of a mid-table team. And
they need to win.
Yeah, they need to win. They need to break the draw, and they need to. If they're gonna get 2-0, all Arsenal fans will start panicking because they've been bottling 2-2. Like that's what I don't think any Arsenal fans will be celebrating going 2-0 up, because they'll be like, no, it's going to happen all over again, deja vu. But I think if they go to 3-0, they're not going to bottle it there. But that's what I think. I don't think Southampton are good enough to do that. I haven't heard they faced Liverpool, and it was at Anfield as well.
Yeah.
And it was like West Ham, at the London Stadium, which is another stadium we went to.
Well, we got just over a minute.
Yeah. But that was, I think, because it's at the Emirates, they will probably end up doing it. They will end up winning quite a bit. But it's actually it's exciting weekends of matches. Obviously, I think it's this weekend, isn't it, where FA Cup clashes again, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's Wembley. It's been an interesting one. Sheffield United versus City, and for Liverpool, actually, they they want City and United or United to win the FA Cup, because if they don't and Liverpool finish in 6th, they won't get Europa League, they'll get Conference League. And it's just a whole big mess. I didn't even realise that was happening. Like, even if you finish 7th, you don't technically get Europa Conference League. It's only if another team above you wins the Carabao Cup, which they're safe there because United won it. But it's an exciting weekend of matches. Obviously, even the Championship's going to be good as well. That's still very good down there. But it'll be interesting. So that's it for me.
Wrexham can win the league as well, can't they?
It's this weekend, isn't it? You can actually. I think it's this weekend.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, it's this weekend. I think you can actually win it.
Yeah.
Cheering him on, and not the kind of game I think everyone was.
Well, there you go.
We were even looking at that.
Ben Show.
Yeah, it was very good. But,
nice to have you back.
Yeah, so that's...
Loads of respect tomorrow.
Respect as well. But it'll be a very good weekend, obviously, for respect. And also Premier League, some very good football over the next week as well. So that's goodbye from...
You'll definitely be here next...
Yeah, next Friday.
With all the lads.
Yeah, just being up on these tonight. Yeah. But that's it from me tonight. Been a very good show. Sit back and relax and have a good rest of the night. Goodbye.
And I'll be there.
Yeah. And
tomorrow.
Have
Have a great evening. Good night.